What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well today. So today, this isn't a video I expected to make. Now, as we all know, there's a little bit of a divide in the community at the moment between OEM bikes, factory bikes, what people prefer, so on and so forth. And as you know, right now I'm kind of in the neutral position. I'm in the middle ground. I enjoy both bikes. I think they both have different pros and cons. However, I was scrolling through Twitch last night. I occasionally do so. I hopped in one stream by like Jesse the Average, and he was hitting some fat Z's on stream. He was snoozing away, doing a little bit of a sleep stream. Then I went over and I saw one of Skralex's live streams, and he was riding a bike that I had never seen before. Turns out, I look in chat and someone said, I would love to see Linz ride these bikes live and see what he thinks of them. I loaded up MXB mods this morning, and what you know, these bikes are on MXB mods, but they're not up in the featured section at all. They've I feel like they've been lost a little bit. Now, they've only got 2 reviews on them, and it's sat at 2.5 stars in total, which I'm guessing means one is 5-star, one is 1-star. So they're already a little bit divisive, I would say. But as you can see here, this is straight out. So this is a 450. This is an amalgamation. It's got a Yami front end, Cowie back end, so already something a little bit different. And we're fully blacked out right now. We've got no graphics at all. But one thing that I've seen from the comments is people say that they're quite light, they're quite nimble, and in the description of these as well, Skralex has said that he's kind of like put a bass tune on them, so they should be fairly capable. And in terms of, if I go into the garage real quick, in terms of customization, so this is as it comes stock. But you'll see if I check like any sort of setting that I can change, there's a lot of parameters that you can work within. So I feel like there's a lot of room for freedom there. So I am going to just run it as it comes. I have no idea why the game always asks you to save something even when nothing's been changed. And we're going to see how it goes. So with any bikes that I like trying in this game, we are going to do 2 tracks. We are going to be doing the aerial test track right here for the Supercross side of things. And this is going to be track 1 and 2 combined, so we'll cross over in the Whoop section. And then after this, I'll decide on an outdoors track. Sorry, we'll see what happens. So
for all of you passionate gamers, you can now get 20% off all G Fuel products worldwide by using code LINZ at checkout. And for any of you motorheads looking for some new drip or apparel, use code MXPR_LINZ15 fxrracing.eu to get 15% off. All links and codes are in the description down below. Enjoy the video and drop a cheeky little like and subscribe.
This is first time. This is all live. We're doing it raw. We're doing it live. The only footage I've seen of this is Skralex riding around a little bit doing some testing, and the bike looked very like agile in the air. It looks like a little bit factorious in how light it is and how nimble it was. I will be playing first person for most of this, so I won't be able to see how steezy I'm getting. But it's very interesting to see how it goes, and it's nice seeing other people taking an interest in the bike development process, if that makes sense, because by the sound of things, what I've heard, I haven't seen too in depth about what goes on in the inner workings of making these, but it seems very unintuitive, if that makes sense. Seems like it's harder than it should be to really make changes to bikes in this game. So I'm interested to see what he can come up with. And you know what? Imagine we get to a point where we now have like 3 groups of bikes rather than the original 1, which has now turned to 2, and then we'll get a 3rd one. I just don't want us to be divided any further than we already are, but I'm here for it. I think there'll be a day where we get to just ride everything, and you can pick whatever you want to ride. So we'll see how this goes. Already, just from the Whoop section and the couple of jumps I've hit, the rear feels quite springy. Feels like it's going to pop you quite high. Ooh, little front end tuck there. I'm not going to try and push it too far. I just want to get a lap or 2 under my belt so I can feel how the bike rides. Gearing feels quite long off the bat, so if I was to go and customize anything here, I think I'd make the gearing just a tiny bit shorter for me personally. But we're just going to see how it goes. Got this big old triple right here. Definitely kicks you up quite high in the air. Let's see if we can hit this Whoop section any better the second time round. I always struggle in these whoops. Like, they're probably one of the hardest ones on any Supercross track I've played to get through consistently. What we're looking like tyre tap wise, that was clean. That was no issue. Up and over that bad boy as well. Yes, and then downside that triple was absolutely fine around that berm. Also worth me mentioning as well, in terms of like tyre options, you just have the one option that comes standard with the game, but I'm guessing that he's gone and edited that or modded anything himself, because it doesn't feel like stock Barbosso traction. Now, let's say I was to load up the MSM bikes, for example. I know that they handle and have completely different power to each other, but in terms of traction, it doesn't feel the same as the MSMs. Let's get around here. It feels a little bit jerky at the moment, if that makes sense. So how do I explain this? So if I go onto flat ground real quick, if I just you see what I mean? If I like quickly accelerate like that, it feels like it rips your arms off the back. So I think I'm going to have to be quite gentle when it comes to throttle inputs, and we'll have to roll it on quite smoothly. Be interesting to see how it handles like sharp braking bumps as well. And then obviously all this is, I do need to mention, this is very, very, very early days by the looks of it, like a really rough early draft. So I imagine in the same way that OEM bikes and factory bikes just get these updates and constantly being developed, these will probably go through the same process. I believe this is a one-man thing at the moment. This is only Skrillex doing this. This isn't anyone else kind of helping or involved. So it's his vision. It goes in whatever direction he wants to take it in, unless like he looks at people's, I guess, feedback and comments and tries to improve from there. And I don't know what the end goal is for these. Obviously, the OEM bikes, I feel like they go towards being maybe a little bit heavier, a little bit more planted. The factory bikes feel like a little bit more nimble in the air. This feels quite nimble in the air, but it's very, very light. I will say that. I think that's why I'm probably getting kicked quite high on these jumps, and it's quite springy, like quite bouncy. I will also say, in the very short amount of time that I saw him riding on these, it was outdoors. So I've not seen any Supercross footage of these being tested yet. And I imagine trying to get a bike set up and dialed to handle everything, including a whoop section, including rhythm sections, probably isn't the easiest thing in the world to do, which is why I want to test it on both sides and see where its pros are, where its cons are. At the moment, for me, it's a bit on the springy side. I won't lie, a little bit springy, but it seems to turn absolutely fine. Like it handles the 180s okay, but sections like that where you get into the whoops, it's like, oh, it's so aggressive. Like you're on a bit of a rocking horse moving up and down. But then you can get up and over rhythms like that, no problem. So yes, definitely a weird mix. Like it really does do well in certain aspects of it, and then it seems to struggle a little bit in others. Let's throw it sideways. Here we'll try and see how fast we can get away with riding some of these berms. Like it turns down in corners really well. Like it's got a good amount of grip. The front end doesn't want to tuck too much in the bowl turns. Yeah, whoops are not its friend right now. As I say, this is all completely as she comes. I've not messed around with suspension at all. I think I'm going to make a little bit of a change here, which is something that I never ever do. I've just gone and kind of see what the suspension's doing. So it looks like the rear end compresses too quickly. So what do I need to change there? Affects how quickly it compresses, more equals softer quicker. So if I turn this down quite a bit, and then with fast bump, it affects how quickly it compresses on hard landings, I'll turn that down a little bit as well. So then hopefully when you come into the whoops, the rear end doesn't fully absorb and then kick you forwards is the plan. We'll see there. And then also with the gearing, I want to make the gearing a bit short, or quite a bit shorter actually. It looks like it's quite long. Let's go around that area. We'll save that. And then let me do another just 1 or 2 laps to see if that changes much for me. Already the gearing makes such a huge difference. Like this feels much more intuitive for me. So let's see what these whoops are like. Let's see if I hit these any easier this time. Not quite so much. It still seems to be the same result for me. So that might be a geometry thing as well. It could be I need to kind of extend it, make the swing arm a little bit longer, maybe lower the fork height a bit, make it seem like, you know, when I say lower, you know what I mean? I mean like make it feel like the bars are lower down, so you you push through the forks. I never know which way it goes. I don't know if the bigger number or lower number is the way that you go to make the bike actually feel like the handlebars are lower, to make it more like you're riding like a chopper style bike, if that makes sense. But yeah, this gearing already makes a huge difference. Feels a lot more natural for me in the corners. So let's see if we can hit some of these more big lines, like tripling in there. That was really easy. That was very, very straightforward. So okay, big fan of that. Like that. I need to check up a little bit here. You can see it like trying to kick me forwards a little bit. I think maybe there might be a little bit too much rebound or a little bit too much preload for this this track in particular. So my knowledge of bike setup and stuff is so basic, it's unreal. Borderline no knowledge at all. I just kind of mess with clickers until something feels right. Because usually, I tend to go watch the occasional Reaper.doc video for bike setups if ever I'm changing bike from one to another, or I'll just get someone to send me something as well. It's like I survived that time, but you saw how slow I was going through there, so be interesting. That absorbed that really well. I don't know how, but I feel like I was turning on a dragon's back, and that would never work for me like usually. So it seems like it's very forgiving in some aspects, then others it's a little bit brutal. But I'm not hating it at all. I love the fact that we're getting more people interested in making bikes. Like I don't know what to say about it, to be honest. Like it's really interesting. I'd love to just do one smooth, clean lap before I move over to the outdoors side of things. So I'm going to try and take my time as much as possible through this whoop section. I'm still going to kind of hit the different splits. So we're just going to go nice and slow. We'll coop our web our way through this. We'll just double our way through for now, just to actually get through them. Get our little tyre tap there. Smooth double over the finish. I'm going to try and take my line where I come out wide, cut across and double around the corner. That works nice and smoothly. I'm saying it doesn't struggle from a rear grip perspective at all. Very, very grippy on the back. And we're going to go triple here. Just check up a little bit into the corner to hit the double. And then we'll go triple out. Remember to check up for this triple here because it's very, very small. And triple all the way to the turn. I'm still going to try tripling in this. I feel like it's got a really good drive. It has. Little double round to the left. So what I'm noticing is if I'm being a lot more patient, a lot more, I guess, restrained on myself, like it does seem to have a little bit of a front end tuck issue when you overjump things slightly. But, you know, if you're overjumping something in real life, unless you've got that factory suspension on the go, you're never really going to ride away from it unscathed. It seems like the more patient I am, the more rewarding it is. You've got to be quite precise on it at the moment. And so far, this has been fairly clean. I had kind of 2 mistakes there in the same section that were just off the back of each other. I would class it as one. I'll try and survive the whip skin. It's all right. We'll double, boing, 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 boing. Right, can we get the dragons back? Dragons back. Yeah, yeet, up and over. Tap the brake. Oh, I don't think I'm going to quite make it. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of rebound on that. It does bounce you quite high. So I think you can make this actually really, really solid just by tweaking the suspension a little bit within the parameters that we've already got, because there's a lot of ranges that you can operate within there. And again, I'm not sure what he's set this up for originally, if it is predominantly outdoors, if it is indoors. But right now, it's just a little bit on the springy side. So I've tried to slow it down in the compression, but I need to also slow it down with the rebounding too. Can I get this step on? You can. Lovely. That shorter gearing's helped me get that step on now. And then a little triple in here. Triple again. Can I get this step on? I don't think I've done this once yet. Yeah, yeet. Yep, nice and smooth. Off. Triple. And then we'll double into the corner. And that is what I will call a semi-clean lap. It wasn't the prettiest. You know, there's a couple of mistakes in there, but I definitely think it's a case of just practicing and getting used to it. Like, how long have I spent? I've spent about 12 minutes total on this bike so far, so very unfair just to write it off straight off the bat. Everything takes a little bit of time, a little bit of practice, and that will do our lap of the Supercross. I'm going to have a scroll through. I think I'll give one of the GP tracks a go. For some reason, I've got Turkey in mind again. I know I've done that recently on like the updated, I think it was the newer factory bikes. But Turkey's just got a bit of everything. It's got some quite narrow ruts, like one after the other, so you have to be quite precise in the turns. Got some choppy braking bump sections, got some high-speed stuff, has some huge jumps on it as well. So, alright, so I made a couple of changes here to the rear end going into the outdoors side. So I've just tried to make everything like a bit stiffer, I guess, because it is quite springy. So I'm just trying to make it a little bit harder so it doesn't, you know, rebound me quite as hard as it has been. That might sound counterintuitive, but you know what I mean. Like, it was so soft that it was fully absorbing and then fully rebounding again. Whereas if I stiffen it up a bit, there's not quite as much up and down travel, up and down movement. So we'll see how it goes. We will see. This I'm a big fan of this Turkey track. I think this one was almost fully created by Hell Machine rather than JV. I think it was the only GP track of 2023 that was, potentially. That's not factually based, by the way. I just know that he helped out. I think JV was a little bit busy for this 1 week. But you wouldn't be able to tell the difference, really. I think they're so similar in terms of their track creating style and just final product. Did you see how... that crash isn't for the bike, by the way. That was just me kind of zoning out. Did you see how quickly that come round when I accelerated in the air? Got pretty damn steezy there, so just normal whip, and then I banged it on the limiter about here, and it just fully straightened the bike up to the point where I almost then started going backwards. Like, that was the gyro really, really strong on that, which I don't hate. That will allow people to get extra steezy. The freeride boys will absolutely love that. Right, so good check mark right there. Let's just try and get warmed up again. So the thing is, it's so difficult from my perspective in switching between all the different bikes that we have at the moment. Even right now, if I go from riding a factory bike, if I then need to hop on an OEM straight afterwards, it'll still take me a good 5-10 minutes to then adapt to like the different type of steering. I am very, very excited for the new OEMs when they fully release, because whatever they've done to the steering on the preview bikes, big fan of. Feels very solid, very planted. So hopefully that can translate across to all their bikes and not just the KTMs that we've got, because I would just like to not have a sea of orange at round one for Anaheim. I really would. I'm kind of dabbling in other options at the moment, see what's what. Bike handled that over jump quite well. So again, more bonus points. Let's get up and over this finish line. Let's try and push the pace a little bit. See what it's capable of. Try and push the limits. We'll scrub around here to the left. And I just want to say, by the way, I don't mean to kind of go through these bikes with a fine-tooth comb and try and pick everything apart. This is all just kind of raw reaction, raw feeling, how I feel the bike's reacting underneath me. Does it feel comfortable? Is it doing anything unexpected? And right now, I'd say I'm kind of like slap bang in the middle. And since this is like very early, I guess, draft number 1 of these things, and I have no idea how much time has gone into them so far, I think it's quite promising. Really, really is. Like, it feels very nimble in the air. When I've made the gearing changes again, so it's a bit shorter for me. Since I've done that, the acceleration is good. It tracks well in corners. The only kind of nitpicky bits I have right now is suspension feels a little bit like rocking you forwards and back, like feels super, super responsive, almost over responsive. And then every now and then you'll, like, if I just slightly over jump something, you'll see the front end really harshly knifed to the side. And other than that, it feels good. Like, it feels solid. I'm actually quite impressed. Why am I in 4th gear? Okay, I need to be in like at least 3rd or 2nd there. I feel like I'm used to riding certain bikes with certain, like engine sounds, and I'm quite an audio-based player. So a lot of the time I won't actually look at my gears, but I'll hear what the bike's doing. Right now, it sounds like the bike is revving quite high, even when I'm in a higher gear, but it's not actually moving to match that. Didn't expect to jump that far. This is going to be brutal. It's probably going to be a crash there. Oh no. Last work week now as well, it being Monday. I guess everyone's trying to just survive until they break up for Christmas. I know that doesn't apply to everyone. It's like majority of you it will. Like, you'll probably break up from work on Friday, and then maybe you get a couple of days off. Maybe you're lucky enough and you're off until New Year. So congratulations if that's you. If you're part of like the retail squad, or you do anything else as you work and over Christmas and such, I do feel for you. I like it. It's got to be a little bit rough, but then I hope that you do get, even if it's not on Christmas Day itself, I hope you get at least some day to be able to spend with either friends or family, whichever your situation is. So I hope you're all having a good December. I'm feeling a lot more Christmassy now. Like, we finally finalised all the decorations and stuff in the house, like the trees up, all the different ornaments have gone up and stuff as well. Girlfriend's very, very excited now, like getting more and more excited to come down and spend Christmas with us. The family have even got to a point now where it's like, oh, maybe we should make it like even more special and even more Christmassy, because like she's coming down. It's like, yeah, I agree with that. Christmas it up, because I feel like as you get older, you fall out of love with it a little bit, because it's the same thing each year. It gets to a point where it's like, oh, it's just the season where I need to try and think of gifts and spend money on people. But it's not always the case. Just spending time with people, for me, is the enjoyable part. Like, we always have the grandparents come round in the evening. Like, we do our own thing in the first half of the day, and then they'll come round in the evening to like spend dinner with us, and it is a nice time. I am a Christmas guy. I just hate how commercial Christmas has become, especially when it comes to like playing songs in like mid-November and things like that. And it's like, you're just taking away from the magic of it. Like, it's making it less special when you do it so early on. So I'm glad that we've left it a little bit later this year to get fully into the spirit of it. And I plan on just getting some drinks in me, have eaten a hell of a lot of food, because your boy do be bulking, and just having a really good time. I mean, speaking of the bulk and speaking of gym in general, as a lot of you know, like, my shoulder's kind of been in the bin recently. I don't know what I've done to it. The best way that I can describe it right now is, and so the pain originally, it was kind of here, like collarbone-ish area, and then yesterday it kind of moved its way a little bit up higher, and anytime I'd like move my arm, you can hear it like crunching, like moving around, which doesn't sound good. Today it's still a little bit on the crunchy side, but it's not as painful. But the only thing that I can compare it to is it feels like loose and weak when I move my shoulder, which is a very similar feeling to what I had in my knee when I tore my ACL, when I tore my meniscus. It feels like there's not much holding it together, so it feels like it moves around really loosely rather than being tight and compact. Like, when I move it, it feels loose, compared to this one where I really don't know the best way of describing it. So for all of you online doctors, all of you people that know your stuff about the body and what it could be, could it just be like a stretched / torn ligament anywhere around there? I mean, when it happened, I didn't feel a pop. Like, when I tore my ACL, my meniscus, I heard and felt like a loud pop. I didn't feel anything like that. It just started hurting, like just more of like a sharp pain. And I mean, it's going down. Like, if I right now I could do like lateral raises, no problem, but kind of shoulder press like that is where it hurts. Bending it outwards, absolutely fine, but then bending it inwards or pushing away also hurts. So it's kind of like that movement and then that movement all around this area. There you go. You can diagnose me. Do what you want. I don't want to go to the doctors or anything just yet because it might even sort itself out within a week or so. But yeah, not been to the gym in like the past 3 or 4 days because of it. So I might just go and do legs and then maybe do some pull exercises rather than anything push related and just see how it goes, play it by ear. But it's a bit of a bummer. So I've been enjoying the gym process so far. But hey, the bulking hasn't stopped. I've just been absolutely stuffing my face. I've had like 4 or 5 takeaways in the last week, which is actually unreal. Like that's high even for my normal standards, and I don't know why. I'm just absolutely demolishing everything in front of me right now. Your boy's got a big old appetite. Moving back onto these bikes, they're a lot better outdoors than they were on Supercross. Like a lot more predictable. The suspension, even though it still feels a little bit on the springy side, you've kind of got room to work with. It's not like you're landing very, very narrow, like Supercross triples, or if you're case anything, you're not going to be backflipping. You've got room to maneuver. So I'm like, for a very first draft as well, I am quite impressed. I think you've done a good job here, Skrillex. And I'm interested to see kind of where it goes in the future and what direction you're going to move in with it as well. Like, it's very, very interesting. I have no idea if it is just you or if you've got other people helping you behind the scenes working on it, but yeah, I mean, give us some updates and take your time with it as well. Don't feel like you have to rush and get it out by this date or that date, and see what you can come up with. I mean, my only feedback right now, I feel like it tracks well, so like the grip does feel good, but not to the point where it makes you want to kind of flip off the back of the bike everywhere. It's a nice little middle ground there. Once I made the gearing a bit shorter, it felt a lot more natural, but that's to me. That's probably personal preference. That's completely up to you if you want to leave it as it is. In terms of like bumps and stuff, it's a little bit springy. But I feel like when I was watching you test it a little bit last night, it seemed to be on more like kind of free ridey / a fun environment, just throwing whips and stuff. So taking it onto like an actual like racetrack like this, rough stuff, it feels it's hard to predict. You know, it's a little bit soft, a little bit springy. So if there's any way of toning it down a little bit, I think that would improve it. And then other than that, it just feels solid. The front end can be a little bit all over the place sometimes, but I feel like that's just a common trait with all bikes in this game at this point, and I feel like it takes a lot of work to try and mitigate those front end effects. But overall, it's good stuff. We should be very happy with what you produced so far, and especially for a very, very early draft. I'm excited to see where this progresses and what it turns into. So thank you very much for making these for us, and if any of you want to download these as well, of course I will put them down in the description for you. It will be the top link in the description to go and download them, and then let me know your thoughts as well. What do you like, what do you dislike? I mean, any feedback in the comments would be really, really nice as well for him to try and adjust and just take all sorts of feedback on board. And thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. If you could drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new, that would be greatly appreciated. And I hope you have a lovely rest of the day, whatever you're up to, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.